AITA for refusing to take in my brother and his kids after his wife left him. Even though I have the space and our parents are calling me heartless? I-35F bought my first home last year, a 4-bedroom house that I worked my butt off to afford. I'm single, no kids, and for years I lived in tiny apartments while saving up. I wanted a space that finally felt like mine. I designed every inch from the garden to the library nook, and honestly, it's my sanctuary. My older brother, Mark, 38M, is complicated. He's one of those people who always seems to have a crisis, but none of them are ever his fault. He married young, had 3 kids, and has always struggled financially. He's had steady jobs, but he quits often because the boss disrespected him or that they didn't appreciate his potential. His wife, Lauren, was the glue of that family. She worked 2 jobs, managed the household, and from what I could tell, tolerated a lot from him. A month ago, Lauren left. She took a job in another state and said she needed a fresh start. She left the kids, 12F, 10M, and 7M, with Mark, who immediately fell apart. He missed work, the kids missed school, and my parents started panicking. They live in a small condo and can't take everyone in, so naturally the focus turned to me. I got a call from my mom first. She started softly, asking how I was doing, and then eased into the topic. "Sweetheart, Mark and the kids are going through such a hard time. Maybe they could stay with you just for a few months while he gets back on his feet." I said no. I didn't even hesitate. It wasn't a cold-hearted no. I explained that I didn't want to turn my home into a chaotic environment. I work from home, and I have routines that help me manage my anxiety. 3 kids, and my emotionally volatile brother moving in would completely wreck that. I said I'd help financially, maybe cover some groceries or rent if he found a place nearby, but I couldn't have them living with me. Mom was quiet for a second, then said, "You have 4 bedrooms, Emily." "Yes," I said, "but that doesn't mean I owe anyone a place to live." That apparently got relayed to the entire family. Now I'm this selfish sister. My dad called and told me he's disappointed that I'm letting my brother drown. He said, "Family steps up. That's what decent people do." Even my cousin texted me saying, "Wow, must be nice to choose peace over your own niece and nephews." Here's the thing. I've always been the responsible one. When my parent downsized, I helped them sell the old house. When Mark got fired 2 years ago, I lent him $2,000 that he never paid back. When he and Lauren were having issues, I was the one babysitting their kids so they could reconnect. I've already done my fair share of emotional and financial rescuing. So when everyone turned on me this time, I snapped. I told my mom, "Mark is a grown man who needs to stop expecting everyone else to fix his messes. I love the kids, but I'm not their mother. I work too hard to create stability for myself to blow it up because he refuses to take responsibility." She started crying and said, "You'll understand when you have a family of your own." I said, "Exactly, and that's why I know how important peace and boundaries are." Now, things are awkward. My parents barely talk to me, except to guilt trip. Mark hasn't called once, but I've seen Facebook posts clearly aimed at me. Stuff like, "You learn who really has your back when life gets hard." The part that's making me doubt myself is the kids. I love those kids. They're sweet and smart and don't deserve any of this. I've been visiting them at my parents' place on weekends, and the oldest told me, "Dad says you don't want us around." That broke my heart. I told her that wasn't true, that I love them, but I need my own home to stay calm and healthy, so I could be there for them. But then my mom called me again this week and said, "Mark's hours got cut. They might lose their rental. Can't you just take them in for the winter? Think of the children, Emily." I told her I'd help with rent directly, even pay their landlord to keep them there another few months. She said, "You think money solves everything." I said, "It solves some things, and I'm offering what I can without destroying my own stability." Now my whole extended family thinks I'm cruel. My aunt texted me, "You'd rather sit in your big empty house than open your door to your own blood." And that line has been running through my head nonstop. Because yes, I would rather sit in my quiet, empty house than live in constant chaos again. I grew up in a noisy, unpredictable home. My dad yelling, my mom crying, Mark breaking things and blaming everyone else. I swore I'd build something peaceful when I got older. And now that I have it, I feel like everyone's asking me to give it up for someone who has never respected boundaries or effort. The guilt is still there, though. I picture the kids doing homework on my kitchen table, sleeping in the guest rooms, laughing in the yard. It almost makes me want to say yes, until I imagine Mark storming around, complaining about how unfair life is, drinking late into the night, and me lying awake wondering how long before he loses another job and drags us all down with him. I talked to a close friend who knows the whole history, and she said, "You don't owe your brother your peace. Offering money is already generous. If you cave, you'll resent them, and it'll blow up anyway." She's probably right, but every call from my parents makes me feel like I'm failing some moral test. My dad actually said last night, "One day when we're gone, you'll regret how you treated your brother." And I wanted to scream, "You mean how I refused to be his emotional safety net again?" I didn't, though. I just said, I'll live with that. So now it's at a stale. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to let my sister move in with me after she got kicked out. Even though I have spare room, I, 29F, live alone in a small but nice 2-bedroom apartment. I bought it 3 years ago after working like crazy to save up for a down payment. It's not fancy, but it's mine. I'm proud of it because I grew up in a very chaotic household where having your own space was a luxury. My parents, both 60s, always favor my younger sister, Jenna, 26F, and honestly, I think that's part of why this whole situation exploded. Jenna has always been the golden child. She's charming, funny, and good at getting people to help her. Meanwhile, I was the responsible one. When we were kids, I helped raise her because my parents were constantly working or fighting. When she got into trouble, I'd cover for her. When she needed money, I'd lend it, even when I didn't really have it. She's never been great with stability. Over the past few years, she's had at least 5 different jobs, dropped out of college twice, and bounced between apartments. Every time something went wrong, my parents would swoop in to save her. I tried to be supportive, but it was exhausting watching her make the same mistakes while I was working 60-hour weeks just to build something for myself. Last month, I finally got a promotion at my job. It came with a significant pay bump, and I was so excited to finally feel financially comfortable. I even started fixing up my 2nd bedroom to use as a home office or maybe a little art studio. It was the first time I felt like I had a place that truly reflected me. Then about 2 weeks ago, Jenna called me crying. She said her boyfriend had kicked her out and she had nowhere to go. She'd been living with him for about 6 months, and from what she told me, the relationship was pretty toxic. Still, I didn't expect her to immediately ask if she could move in with me for a little while. I hesitated, but she was in tears, and I felt awful saying no. So I told her she could stay for 1 week while she figured things out. I even helped her move her stuff in, which turned out to be way more than I expected. Within 2 days, my apartment looked like a tornado hit it. She had clothes piled on the couch, makeup scattered across the bathroom, and she was constantly blasting TikToks on her phone. By the end of the first week, she hadn't even started looking for another place. She was lounging around all day, ordering food delivery on my account because she didn't have time to go grocery shopping, and using my car without asking. When I confronted her about it, she rolled her eyes and said, "Chill, it's not like I'm a stranger." I told her she needed to start figuring out her next steps, and she snapped back that I was being heartless. That led to a fight where she accused me of hoarding space and acting superior just because I had my life together. She even brought up old childhood stuff, saying I'd always thought I was better than her because I got good grades and never partied. After that argument, she went radio silent for 2 days, then I got a call from my mom. My mom immediately started in on me, saying Jenna told her I was kicking her out with nowhere to go. I explained the situation, but Mom wasn't having it. She said Jenna just needed a little support and that I was being cold and selfish. I asked why Jenna couldn't stay with them, and my mom said, "You know how your father gets when she's emotional." Which, to me, translates to, we don't want to deal with her drama. That made me angry because it's the same pattern as always. Jenna makes a mess, they dump it on me, and I'm expected to fix it. I told my mom that I wasn't changing my mind. Jenna had one more week to find another place, and that was final. Mom hung up on me. Jenna didn't say much after that until the night before her deadline. She came into my room crying, saying she couldn't find anywhere to go. I told her I was sorry, but I needed my space back. She begged me to reconsider, promising she'd clean up and contribute to rent once she got a job. But I've heard that promise before, more times than I can count. I told her no. The next morning, she was gone. She left a mess behind, but took all her things. I thought that was the end of it, but my mom called again the next day, furious. Apparently, Jenna had shown up at their house crying, and now my parents were telling all our relatives that I kicked out my own sister to the streets. My aunt even texted me calling me cruel. What none of them seemed to know is that Jenna isn't actually homeless. A mutual friend told me she's staying with another guy she met online. So now I'm the family villain for abandoning her while she's off living in someone else's apartment. The part that's eating at me is that even though I know I made the right choice, I still feel awful. I hate family drama, and I hate being painted as the bad guy. But at the same time, I can't keep letting her derail my life. Yesterday, I got a message from my dad, who almost never texts me. He said he didn't raise me to turn my back on family. That one hurt more than I expected. I wanted to write back that they didn't really raise me at all. They raised Jenna, and I raised myself, but I didn't. Now I'm wondering if I could have handled things differently. Maybe I should have let her stay a little longer, or helped her find a place before kicking her out. But part of me also thinks this is the only way she'll ever grow up. If people stop rescuing her every time she hits a wall. My friends all say I did the right thing, but my family seems to think I've crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. So, AITA for refusing to let my sister move in permanently, even though I technically had the space. AITA for refusing to let my sister move back in with me after she trashed my apartment while I was away. So I, 29F, live in a 2-bedroom apartment that I rent on my own. About a year ago, my younger sister Kara, 25F, lost her job and couldn't afford her rent. I told her she could stay with me temporarily, maybe 3 months tops, until she got back on her feet. I made it clear from day one that this was not a permanent arrangement. She agreed, saying she just needed time to figure things out. The first few weeks were fine. We got along decently as kids, but living together again was eye-opening. Kara didn't do chores, left dirty dishes everywhere, borrowed my clothes without asking, and had random people over constantly. I felt like I was living with a messy college roommate instead of my adult sister. She eventually got a new job after 2 months, but she didn't start saving. She spent her paychecks on clothes, nights out, and a new phone. When I asked about her plan to move out, she'd brush me off, saying, "Relax, I'm staying until I'm stable." That temporary stay stretched into 8 months. I finally gave her a deadline. She had to move out by the end of summer. She wasn't happy, but she said okay. She moved her stuff out in late August, though she made a huge mess doing it. Still, I was relieved. We didn't talk much afterward, which was fine by me. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. I had to fly out of state for a 5-day work conference. My boyfriend, 31M, couldn't come because of his own job, so my apartment would be empty. Kara texted me out of the blue asking if she could crash there for a few days while I was gone because her new roommate's boyfriend was visiting and she needed a break from their lovey-dovey crap. I hesitated, but figured it would be harmless. I told her fine, but only if she promised to treat my place with respect and not invite anyone over. She said she'd barely be there. When I got back that Sunday, I opened my door and almost cried. My apartment was wrecked. There were empty bottles, fast food bags, and sticky surfaces everywhere. My living room rug had a huge wine stain. The bathroom mirror was cracked. My kitchen counter had burn marks. Even worse, my bedroom, which I specifically told her not to go into, smelled like alcohol and perfume, and my bed sheets were clearly used. I called Kara immediately, furious. She tried to laugh it off at first, saying, "Oh my God, don't be dramatic. We just had a few friends over." I asked who we meant, and she admitted she threw a small get-together. I later found out through a mutual friend's Instagram story that there were at least 20 people there. My place had been turned into a party house while I was out of town. I told her to come over and clean up. She said she didn't have time and would Venmo me $50 for cleaning supplies. My security deposit alone is worth more than that. I told her she was banned from my apartment, period. She called me a control freak and said I was overreacting because no one got hurt. I hung up on her. The next day, my mom called, saying Kara was crying about how harsh I was being. Apparently, she went back to her current apartment and her roommate told her she couldn't stay there anymore because of drama between them. Now Kara has nowhere to go and wants to move back in with me, just for a few weeks until she finds a new place. I told my mom absolutely not. My mom said, "She's your sister. Family helps each other." I reminded her that Kara trashed my home, disrespected me, and didn't even apologize. Mom said Kara made a mistake and that I should be compassionate. I told her that compassion doesn't mean being a doormat. Since then, my family's been divided. My dad actually agrees with me and said Kara needs to learn consequences. My mom and 2 aunts think I'm being cold-hearted. Kara has been sending me guilt trip texts like, "I'm sleeping on a friend's couch because of you," and "I can't believe you're choosing a couch over your own sister." Here's where I might be the asshole. I know she's not great at managing her life, but I also know she's struggling right now. Part of me feels like I'm being too rigid. She's my sister, not a random roommate. But I can't get over how utterly violated I felt coming home to a disaster zone. My boyfriend said if I let her move back in, he'd stop visiting because she'll just do it again. And he's probably right. When Kara lived with me before, she broke rules constantly. I found out she let her friends come over when I wasn't home, used my expensive skincare products, and even took my work tablet to watch Netflix in bed. Every time I tried to set boundaries, she'd accuse me of being uptight. What really stings is that she's acting like I owe her forgiveness. She hasn't once said sorry. Not a text, not a call, nothing. Just excuses. She even said, "You left your apartment empty. What did you expect?" As if I should have predicted she'd throw a rager while I was gone. My mom's latest argument is that family relationships are more important than furniture and cleaning bills. But to me, it's not about the mess. It's about trust. I trusted her with my home, and she completely disrespected that. I don't feel comfortable around her anymore. Still, I can't help but feel a pang of guilt every time she texts that she's trying to sleep in her car or just wants a second chance. But then I think about that broken mirror and the smell of stale beer in my sheets, and my sympathy evaporates. The funny part? I actually loved being an older sister growing up. I used to bail her out when she got grounded, helped her with homework, even paid part of her college tuition for a semester when she was short. But over the last few years, she's taken advantage of that kindness over and over again. So here I am, refusing to open my door this time. And now I'm the villain in the family group chat. AITA for refusing to let my sister move back in after she trashed my apartment?